proceeded back, I heard another crash.
The ice on the trees, and it's getting into the power lines, and the phone's going in and out, so we don't really have any contact.
Now, this time last week, News Center 19 brought you the stories of those people's lives, people who live in towns across the valley. In fact, Jerry, Steve Simon, Kevin Yodges, and Dick Curtis were in the middle of some of the worst damage in Lauderdale County. Now, our News Center 19 team provided the only live reports that night from the shoals.
That's right, Lisa. Of course, it is a night that I won't soon forget because the roads were slick and the ice forming on trees caused a lot of heavy branches to fall off, and trees were crashing down.
It's a night that I won't soon forget either. Of course, since you were in the shoals, I was co-anchoring the newscast here with Brian Magruder. Now, here's a look back at the first live report News Center 19 gave you during our 5 o'clock news Thursday evening, 1 week ago today. Pretty rough out there.
Lisa, this is something like I've never seen before. I've been in ice storms in Dallas, Texas. I've been in ice storms in New Jersey. Never have I seen anything like this. Blake, take a look. This symbolizes what everyone here in the shoals has to deal with today. Ice, solid ice, a nice sheet of ice, anywhere. Sometimes you can't even see the ice. It's forcing trees to come down, power lines to come down. When we got out here early this afternoon, these police scanners were going crazy. All we kept on hearing was Walnut Street, get to Walnut Street. Well, I'm going to take you there now. Take a look. For people here on Walnut Street in Florence and the rest of the area, there's only one direction to look: up. Think it's a little bit dangerous out here, though?
Well, yeah, I'm going in a few minutes. Just a few minutes.
How bad is this? It looks like you've lived here for a while. Is this the worst you've ever seen here? What is this like?
It's just about the worst, yeah. Just about. It's bad enough.
An icy glaze covers trees, homes, and sidewalks. Power is out, and so are most of the people here, watching limbs break, then crash.
They're falling off from the top of the trees. I came home earlier on my lunch break, and one fell out of the top of the tree. I was going to eat here, but I had to leave so I could get back to work because I didn't want to get stuck under these power lines if they fell.
This is just about the safest place on Walnut Street, standing below nothing. No tree limbs, no power lines. Is this the worst you've ever seen? What do you think?
Yes, I think it is. I think it's the worst that we've ever had here. We had one back in the 50s, but it's not as bad as this one.
Most everyone here expects a long night. With temperatures falling and no electricity, the only thing to do is listen.
As you can see by that report, and as I mentioned a little earlier, ice caused trees to fall all over and heavy branches to come crashing down.
Now, this storm was so bad that News Center 19 expanded our coverage that night. We stayed on the air for a full hour last Thursday at 6 o'clock.
And we expanded News Center 19 at 10 as well to bring you the latest information you needed.
Ice-laden branches caused massive power outages, as you can see by this video in Madison County. The ice weighed down power lines, causing thousands of families to lose power.
Now, utility crews have been hard at work since day one, trying to get power back on to all those homes.
And through it all, a single image stands out in many of our minds, the gripping video caught exclusively by News Center 19 of a beauty queen whose life nearly ended when a tree crushed her car.
Believe me, we all held our breath and said a little prayer for Jackie Rainwater of Florence. The reigning Miss UNA became the first casualty of the ice storm in the shoals. And News Center 19 Steve Simon brought us the exclusive story of Jackie Rainwater trapped in her car while paramedics fought to save her life.
It happened fast and without warning. Hundreds of pounds of frozen tree limbs, snaps, and crashes on a car driving below on Walnut Street in Florence. A passenger in the car survived. Police find him wandering a few blocks away in a state of shock. Lisa Cox saw everything.
The guy started screaming, "Someone help us," and I came out of my house and I called 911 before I came out, and I came out and I got to the car and I could hear her breathing, but I couldn't get to her. And then all the emergency people got here and tried to get her out.
Precious minutes pass. Rescuers tried to free the woman using chainsaws and a lot of muscle. There's no doubt making a rescue is dangerous, but here's the bigger problem here. Trees falling at a moment's notice, like the limbs here, resting on power lines. Without warning, the trees continue to fall, some too close for comfort, some just a few feet away from where firemen are trying to make the rescue. Soon the woman is free. She is unconscious and taken to a nearby hospital. People here just left to pray and think about the cruel side of nature.
Now, at this time last week, family and friends were praying that Rainwater would live through that accident.
Yeah, a lot of people were. This has been a very trying time for her family, as anyone could imagine, as they wait by Jackie's bedside for any sign of improvement. I had the chance to talk with her family and friends Sunday night as they continue to pray for Jackie's life. As this Alabama beauty queen spends her nights in Huntsville Hospital, her mother is praying for a beautiful recovery.
We pray for full recovery and expect it.
But no one could have expected this. Just after the ice storm hit the Tennessee Valley on Thursday, this huge tree branch fell and hit Jackie Rainwater's car.
I was just in shock and praying, constantly praying.
Jackie's mom isn't alone. Relatives and friends are also waiting it out and calling in. While Jackie is in the neuro care unit with a broken neck, the hallways are filled with signs of love and signs of prayers, like this poster signed by friends and this journal with notes from people who stopped by. Here's a sign of how popular Jackie is. She's had so many visitors, the hospital has posted a sign asking people to please limit their visits to just 2 minutes. Dozens of Jackie's friends are even working shifts to make sure someone is always here.
I think it's probably because that's what she gives. You know, when she's around, she gives love and support and encouragement to all of us. You know, everybody has a different story about something Jackie's done for her.
And like the different testimonies that people have been coming and just like from her mom, I mean, she's been so encouraged. Like people will come up and will say, "You just won't believe what Jackie's done for me." You know, she's just always such an encouraging person.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, Miss Rainwater is doing better and continues to improve each day.
Of course, our thoughts are still with her.
Exactly.
Well, traffic hazards from the ice aren't the only things that pose threats to your life. When power goes out, a lot of people turn to kerosene and gas heaters to stay warm.
Sure, that's what one Limestone County family did when their home broke out in flames. Now, the fire in Belmina started from a kerosene heater. It killed a 15-month-old baby Friday. The mother and 2 other children managed to escape the fire unharmed, but the father, William Malone of Decatur, was seriously injured when he went back into the house to try and save his daughter's life. And Malone's brother remembers that night.
Yeah, and see, 2 of the kids went out the back door, and they figured that maybe that she had done, 1 or 2 kids probably grabbed the little child and went out the back door. But since he seen that the 2 was out, and he was still trying to find her in the house, and he couldn't.
The family was trying to stay warm because they'd lost power because of the ice storm in Limestone County.
And that ice storm caused a lot of accidents last week, and another one proved deadly for a Limestone County man.
28-year-old Allendale Thompson of Athens died when he lost control of his car on an icy road.
That accident occurred Thursday afternoon last week, just north of Athens.
At least I remember just how bad those roads were. Of course, when I was driving over to the shoals late Thursday afternoon, there was one point that I didn't know whether or not we were going to make it. I started seeing a lot of ice on the side of the roads. Alternate 72 wasn't that bad, but once again, a lot of the roads over there were covered with ice, and I didn't know whether we were going to be able to make it or not.
Of course, we were all here. We were worried about you guys, but so glad that you did make it. No one had any real problems that night as far as getting hurt or anything, and it showed us just how bad it really was in Lauderdale County when you brought us this exclusive live report from the shoals.
And this is what people are having to deal with over here. This is why so many people are without power at this hour, and why traveling is so hazardous is because the ice is just coating everything. And you see some of the ice, I mean, it's thick, and it's been on there for a while, and it may take it a while to melt. I did hear Tim say a little bit while ago that earlier in the broadcast that the temperatures were warming up a bit, and that's good news for the people who live over in the shoals because maybe they'll begin to thaw out a little bit. I do know that some of the people here on Colbert Mountain do have generators, and then we showed you a family just a while ago that was out on the front porch cooking on their electric gas grill. that's the only way these folks are surviving tonight, and it looks like it may be the only way that they're able to eat a meal this evening, because power has knocked out, or the ice storm has knocked out power to so many areas. Steve Simon has been over here all afternoon, and he's been out and about, and Steve, it's just a mess.
Yeah, this is a big mess. I want to show you guys even a bigger mess, Jerry. Everyone out there, watch yourself. Dick Curtis is even out here with us. Watch your step, Dick. We're talking about ice. That's all we're showing you. Here's a pine needle falling off a tree, nice and glazed. Look what's not frozen, and look what we can expect here. A lot of mud, so thick, my boots, I'm just putting it in, are very hard to get out of here. They're even sticking in here. So you can even expect, as you can see, the footing around here, if it's not frozen, it's going to be tough because you're going to be in a lot of mud. Look at this tree. Mother Nature, the force of Mother Nature, the ice, just bending it over, glazed with ice. You can see how tenuous this is right here. I don't want to break it. I'm not going to break it, but it is bending over. And at a moment's notice, you can see some twigs right out there just fell off the tree. And I should get out from where I'm standing anyway. We don't want to have anything happen to us. So as Jerry told you, the situation out here is dangerous. People on the mountain, in the shoals, without power, doing what they can to get by. Kevin Yodges has been out here more than any of us. He's up many hours. Super reporter, super guy. Yeah, it has been a long time.
Steve. Been a long day. You were talking about the mud.
Yeah.
Earlier today, Channel 19 is going to get a $50 towing bill for what happened to us in our live truck here when we were trying to get a live shot out for daybreak in an area that we picked because it didn't have any ice, but it did have mud, and we didn't think it would be that soft. We guessed wrong. Sorry, Mr. News Director, but let me show you what the problem is out here. What's not a problem, there's one good thing. There are people out on the roads now. Blake, take a look. The roads, you can see the ice over there, but where the roads are is not freezing. So right now, the roads are clear as long as there's no trees around. It's the trees above the roads that's making the travel hazardous, as well as the electric power lines. And please, please stay off the phones and off the roads. Right now in Colbert County and in Lauderdale County, there are lots and lots of volunteer civil defense workers running around on their own cars, spending their own money and their own gas, trying to bring kerosene and kerosene heaters to people who are shut in their homes without power and without heat. Hearing several reports of elderly patients who are bedridden and can't get out and can't go anywhere, and they're putting a call for help. And these people are going out, braving these trees falling on these mountain roads to bring them a kerosene heater so they have some kind of heat.
Now, that was just one of many live team coverage reports News Center 19 brought you that night about utility lines going down and people stranded without power.
And News Center 19's Dick Curtis gave us a good feel for what it was like in the shoals that evening as he talked with victims left in the dark.
Hi, WVNA.
I was wanting to know if you knew if Lauderdale County schools were open tomorrow.
Lauderdale County schools are closed tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
The calls came one after another this night at radio station WVNA. They were all about the same thing, the weather. Weather that turned downtown Tuscumbia into a ghost town. The lights were out across the river in parts of Florence, too. Some fast food places lost power much of the day. This Hardee's finally got it back on, but without water. Dot Kimbrough knew what to do when the trees came crashing down on her power lines. She and her husband lit the candles.
Well,
does this happen very often?
It hadn't happened here in a long time.
What do you think of it?
I don't like it. Broke all my trees down.
The sounds of chainsaws will be heard throughout the night here in the shoals as utility crews continue the tough task of undoing the ice storm of '94.
Stand by.
Well, towns all across the valley were hit by the storm. One of the hardest hit areas, of course, was Lauderdale County.
And that's right. Some of the damage out there was just unbelievable, like the damage that News Center 19's Kevin Yodges told us about in a live report from Florence.
That's right. In fact, Alabama Governor Jim Folsom Jr. came to the shoals area over the weekend to survey the millions of dollars worth of damage that the storm caused. And some of the damage was just unbelievable, such as the damage that News Center 19's Kevin Yodges told us about in this live report.